Good morning to everybody. I welcome you all for the fifth day of this 7-day capacity building and professional development program. Over to Mr. Gomati Shankar for the welcome address. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Are you able to hear
Yeah,
me?
good morning, good morning.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Gomati
Can you hear me,
Shankar,
ma'am?
your welcome address.
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank
It's
you, ma'am.
audible.
Hello, everyone. It's my
Okay,
pleasure
sir.
to welcome each and every one of the participants to the fifth day of Professional Development and Capacity Building Program, organized by the Manonmaniam Sundaranar University in association with the IAASB, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Today's session is on the topic Internal Audit, Risk Management and Control. Today's session, I'm happy to introduce today's speaker for the webinar. We have CA Ratnagar Samavedam with us. CA Ratnagar is a chartered accountant having PGDBA from Symbiosis University, Pune, and is an alumni of IIM Bangalore. He has a total 18 years of experience in the field of corporate finance, fundraising, risk assessment, taxation, and audit. Currently, he is an investment director and portfolio manager at Hyderabad Angels. Before Hyderabad Angels, currently, the Hyderabad Angels has done 37 investments with 4 exits with an average return of 3x. Before joining HA, he worked with startups helping them streamline finance and operation functions. He was also active in fundraising activities for startups. At Hyderabad Angels, he works closely with all the portfolio companies in terms of both compliance and building processes to achieve scale. Prior to that, he worked in Spencer's Retail's part of RPG Group, ICICI Bank in SMEAG lending division as regional head and head of corporate finance with Prolifix. Thank you, sir. I welcome you, sir. Now you can hand over. You can take the session, sir. You can take over. Sir, Ratnagar, sir.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. You can take over the session, sir.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Audible. You are audible, sir. Very well audible.
Participants, kindly bear with us for a few minutes. The speaker will join us in a short while.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. You can please proceed.
Sorry for...
Yeah, not an issue, sir. You can proceed with the presentation.
right. 1 minute here. Good morning, all, and very good morning for all the participants, and thank you for giving this opportunity to present before the larger people. I think they're given an introduction about myself. So I'm a chartered accountant. Then I had total of 18 years of work experience working in various corporates. So I worked in Spencer's Retail for 2 years period and with ICICI Bank for a period of 5 years. and then with another company called Prolifics for a period of 7 years. Plus, currently I am taking care of Hyderabad Angels, which is an investment community arm for startups. And we evaluate very closely how startups are working and what kind of startups to be invested. And along with that, I was also being a virtual CFO for few companies, both in pharma and other areas, where we are helping them on strategy, financial planning, and risk management. Taking this background, and today I would like to start the presentation with an expectations that instead of more of theory, I would like to discuss what are the practical scenarios and why risk management is very, very important, and what is the control and internal audit, how these both are going to play a hand in hand role in taking this forward. So, one of the key thing which I see as a challenge in a large companies, when the company is small, most of these risk factors will not be seen so closely because they are very passionate about their product or a service and they wanted to develop that. That is the need of the hour. At that level, I don't expect people need to look into a lot of the risk control measures, internal control measures, internal audit requirements. Is not the need. The biggest issue comes if you look into India and lot of SMEs are there. The reason being they're not able to go into a $1 billion company. The reason is after reaching certain level of growth, both in terms of volume, transaction, and the space what they are, beyond which controlling will become very, very difficult. I've seen issues with many of the founders after doing, for example, I handle a clinic. A clinic after opening for 6 centers, they started seeing enormous issues, and it is creating a day-to-day hurdle for them. And for last 1 year, they are not able to open a single additional clinic because of these issues. So, what is the reason? When I went over there and checked, what is the reason why these guys are struggling and they got some reputation in market, but what is the problem? This is where I seen their internal control mechanism, risk management profile is not so great. That's where we wanted to bring value. And I request all the participants to see one of the risk measurement and control as an important point when organization is reaching a growth stage. Not at early stage when they are reaching a growth stage. This is very, very important. And I also see some of the students or some of the members who are joining early into a large organizations, they see a lot of processes has been put in place. For example, today, if anybody is working into a government organization or a private organization, prior to COVID, the thumb impression is very, very important. They come, the attendance need to be recorded, and they go out. Why that is a need? This is a part of control and risk management profile that need to be done. People think it is only for attendance reason, but it has a lot of other implications in recording the movement of the people and what happened during that particular period of time. So a lot of things will come in play when you look into this control and risk management profile is concerned. So taking this cue, I'm just moving ahead. And today, I would like to discuss on this incorporated controls. We need somebody to be a watchdog or somebody should be like a traffic inspector. That is where the internal audit function will come and they evaluate and check every control measures. Are they functioning properly or not? For example, in Telangana government today, because I am staying in Hyderabad, government is saying that many of the private hospitals are allowed to get the COVID patients to private hospitals and get treated. But they given certain guidelines saying that these are the rates need to be followed. This is the room rent. This is the medicine value and other things. What I observe is a lot of private hospitals are not monitoring and they're listening a lot of backfire from the public saying that they are charging so much. Yes, they're trying to control. This where I feel if they can appoint good internal audit control mechanism where they can appoint an external auditor who can go and validate these rates and keep on reporting to the government officials, they can control a lot of things what private hospitals are doing. I'm just giving you the volume and practical reality what really happens. So, what are the risks generally companies will see in the world? The one of the biggest risks getting into entrepreneurship is itself a biggest risk, according to me. So you can see they can be business risk, they can be competition risk, they can be business strategy, they can be risk to assess, they can be bankruptcy of suppliers, there will be bad debts. I think the risk has no end, whatever we are seeing day in, day out. I hope all the people who are part of this meeting will agree. Once we are entering into a business and entrepreneurship, he is vulnerable to enormous amounts of risk which he don't know, but he will experience when he's undergoing a journey. What are the general business risks? So I given you a broad view, but when you look into large corporates or when you look into the theory part of the exam, I also give that point. What are the general risks? One is economic risk. Today, to give you a very simple example, is current COVID-19 situation. Economies across the world are troubling now. Most of the economies are not able to do. And we also know some of the sectors are struggling today in the market to sustain, and some of the sectors are flourishing. But at least 4 months back, nobody imagined the scale and other things what is going to happen. This is a macro risk which people need to keep in mind. And another thing, I think, example is GST introduction. I think for a period of 2017 and 18, when GST was introduced, most of the industries have not grown in the pace what they used to go between 14, 15, 15, 16. The reason is people are trying to understand GST, get it implemented, understand more and keep moving. In that year, the growth of Indian economy also dropped to some extent because of the GST industry. Again, demonetization, prior to that, demonetization also shackled the entire economy. So this kind of risk are generally applicable to large companies like Infosys, TCS, uh, or Reliance Industries. The big organizations have positive and negative impact on their various businesses which they undergo. And when they are doing their business plan, they need to consider this economic risk, which is beyond their control. Political risk, the second point which I would like to bring it. The classic example is I'm not quoting negative or positive about a party. It is only saying that when Andhra Pradesh, the government got changed, my own companies where I nurture and do the business strategy for them, most of the businesses got changed. Few of them lost orders. Few of them need to leave the business and come out. Today, you would be saying they don't want Amravati as the capital, they want three capitals. So, whatever the development happened in Amravati completely got jolted. This is one. Second example is today Trump, our US, is saying I will not allow H1B visas. I will not do this. So you can see the impact on companies like ITs, which are largely dependent on US, where they look at H1B, B1, and when they are bidding for a project, when they are doing it, the responsibility of the risk manager look into this political risk also. Who is the government is there? What is their policies they are adopting? When you are entering into geography, what kind of risk we can undergo? All these things can come. And third example is geographical risk. I mentioned Chinese app in India as one of the ban is one of the example here. The problem is geography to geography, the culture of the people will change, the way they behave is change. And today the reaction of the people has affected one particular geography income for Chinese companies to a larger extent. So we also need to understand when you're entering into a new geography, and India is a good place when you look into risk profile. When I am in Telangana or when I'm getting into Tamil Nadu, the culture, the way people purchase patterns is completely different in Tamil Nadu, completely different in Telangana, completely different in Karnataka. Bangalore sees differently, Hyderabad sees differently, Chennai sees differently. So within India, we have that risk, and people never assess, they just enter into market. They need to know very well. The fourth is the compliance risk. Guys, I will be going around. Please note down if you have any Q&A, because the Q&A has been kept in the end. If you have any doubts, you can ask me at the end, because the presentation should go on for another 40 minutes or so. I'll be taking you this journey. Please note down and please raise the points, whatever you have. So, looking into economic, political, and geographical risk, the first thing is the compliance risk. Today in India, one of the recent tweet by Kiran Maranjasha Biocon, she mentioned that in India there are 1800 compliances are there where she need to sign off that she has complied with all the acts. If any of the act is not complied, we don't know from which nook and corner somebody will come and catch hold of the people. Even a small organization, which is a startup, we say if you open an office, please take shops and establishment certificate or a trade license certificate. Then we look into whether his GST is applicable, income tax applicable, labor laws like PF, ESI, Gratuity, Bonus Act, Welfare Act. What are the within the given scope? What are the small things are applicable? We are asking them to comply. Sometimes this non-compliance are resulting into huge penalties. A company which is doing a 1 crore of turnover, making a profit of 10 lakhs, and because of non-compliance of GST, suddenly GST officer comes and says, instead of charging 18%, you charge 12%. The balance 6% I need to recover with GST interest. The 10 lakhs is gone. Whatever profit they earned is gone. And government has never given respite also. They said ignorance of law is not an excuse. I think you would have heard about this many times in our day-to-day affairs. Please keep this. This is very, very important, which need to be seen whether the company is small, company is medium, company is big, proprietorship concern, partnership concern, it doesn't matter. Compliance is a huge risk. We insist take professional advice wherever it is possible. Now, in this age of internet world, where we are in cloud, where usage of mobile phones have gone up, without laptops, our lives are not going ahead, internet and laptops. And today our webinar is happening online. There is a huge risk of security and fraud. We don't know who will come and hack and what really happens. As an individual, if our system is getting hacked or our phone is getting hacked, we will lose only our personal data. It has very little financial value, though it has its own relevance, but from the loss of the personal data or financial data is of little value. A companies, large companies like, again, I quote the same names, Infosys, Aditya Birla, TCS, Reliance, for that any kind of security or a fraud risk on their systems and they lose their business for at least 5 days, 10 days, or 3 days, or loss of data resulting into another catastrophic effect, the impact will be in crores and crores of rupees. For them, this risk is very, very important, and they need to take care of all the precautions, invest on cyber security, invest on data breaches, build a better IT systems. Financial risk. One of the things a lot of people don't look at when a company has been incorporated and keeping ahead. And when I was in ICICI Bank, I was heading SMEAG as regional head. What is the if a customer or a client, a company has one or two clients and they are dependent heavily on them, the risk of business going down is very, very high. Because if one of them is pulling their plug, they are not happy, they are not able to go ahead, they are done. So that's why we insist most of the companies to increase their customer base. Second thing is the credit got extended to customers. Lot of times, I think people are aware that we give credit for debtors, for making the payment to increase our sales. We need to be very choosy whom we are giving credit, who is our customer, whether he has a repayment capability or not. I see most of these companies are not looking at it because for them at least sale to ho raha hai. Let me get my sales done, let me get my top line keep moving. They are not bothered about collecting cash from their debtors. So we insist, please look into this, and to overcome, you definitely need to assess your customer, know your customer very well, and extend the credit list. Otherwise, this becomes a financial risk for us. The third example, which I have not quoted here, is leveraging. People don't look into their balance sheets. They go and take loans beyond their capacity, whether it is an individual or it is a company. and they are unable to repay, finally they get into bankruptcy. I always tell my founders and my wherever I am also sitting and suggesting them, a person who is of 35 to 40 years of age, today he has a life of at least another 3 to 4 decades, 30 to 40 years, and any action taken today that will haunt him lifelong, especially on financial risk. Certain thing goes bad today in the world, it will haunt lifelong. Example, there is a check bounce, it is getting reported in civil. There is a default in the loan, it is getting reported at various places. RBI default as raised, bank default as raised, civil report. And when you go in future, if you're really good and you wanted to raise funds, people will always look at your past. Guy, in the past, you have not done your financial management properly, and we are not looking to fund you. This will haunt you for lifelong. I'm telling you guys, financial risk, especially, is very, very important, especially when people are looking to raise loans. That doesn't mean don't hesitate to take loans. I'm not saying there is a risk, don't get into loans, try to raise equity. No, you should know each one has his own cost, each one has his own advantages and disadvantages. When you are taking decision, you should be aware what is that I can take on my shoulder. Don't take anything beyond your capacity. Even God also told, if you can eat 100 grams of rice and you're trying to eat 200 grams, the stomach will not allow you and it will throw out. The same thing will happen in the financial world. It looks good for most of them. Money has come, I will be more strong, but in turns it results into a different paradigm risk for the founders. And we in the financial field, we insist to look into this area again and again. And once we get into this risk profile, another decade is gone to recover back from that situation. I've seen many cases in my life. Being a banker, somebody defaulted to start his own business, going back to the people, building the trust, getting back to his own business. 10 years is gone, guys. 10 years is gone. The mistake done is mistake. I want you to take care of this. The other three things are regular common things, though the top five things are important. Reputation risk, unhappy customers, product failures, negative press release, lawsuits on the company. Like Maggie, they don't know what really happened. Somebody went and filed, and court agreed they're using lead in their system, and finally they got banned. It created unhappy customers. It created negative press release. They lost a huge amount of customer base and revenue. I think most of them will agree. And to come back, they need to incur so much of money. Operational risk, internal issues, it can be frauds, external can be natural disasters. For that, we look for business continuity plan, whatever it, automation of many processes. We see this operational risk coming day in, day out in our regular business, what we see. And finally, the competition risk. It is very, very important to watch out your competitors. For me, when I look into competitors' risk, Kodak was one of the number one photography camera builders in the world at one point of time. Even Nokia per se, their number one mobile phone handset seller. What they happened is they never looked at competitors, what they're bringing on the table, and they felt what they're doing is right. At the end of the day, Kotak need to close down. Naukri need to sell off. Nokia need to sell off their factory. So this is very, very important. Always, whatever your competition, look into the risk parameters. What are the major risk competition will bring up? Pricing is one thing. Innovation is one thing. Sometimes location is important. Resources, distribution, intellectual property. These are the general risk which a business profile will have. Maybe there may be a lot more to explain, but at a macro level, when you look at the macro level, these are the risks what companies will go through: economic, political, geographical, compliance, security and fraud, financial, reputation, operational, and competition. So what I did is, looking into entrepreneur level, I classified this risk and given you the details. I hope I am clear why risk is important and how we are going to go through this process. So how do you control risk? risk cannot be controlled from external ways. A lot of people feel somebody will come and control somebody's coming. No. All this risk, we need to have a process and it is internal in nature. I hope all should agree. It is the character, it is the discipline, what we bring to the system plays a very, very important in bringing right controls in the company and taking care of this risk. What are internal controls? A lot of people will speak about internal control mechanism, internal control process, and other things. Internal controls are the mechanisms, rules, and procedures implemented by a company to ensure integrity of financial and accounting information, promote accountability, and prevent frauds. You understood, no? Internal control is more of mechanism, rules, and procedures, which creates accountability and avoid frauds and overcome this risk profile what we discussed previously. Besides complying with the law and regulations and preventing employees from stealing assets or committing fraud, internal controls can help improve operational efficiency by improving the accuracy and timeliness of financial reporting. At the end of the day, all this risk and reward, how do you see, how do you measure? It will be known in the financial report. It is very, very evident. I don't know how many people are recently observing stock market results because the COVID, India has put lockdown for 2 months and that they unlocked the India and a lot of companies has gone through the toughest time. Still, they are reporting the results during Q1 and giving comparisons. So, how do you know? Looking into their financial reporting. Like Maruti said, in their lifetime, they never reported a loss. And the first time they've seen almost 2 months of zero sales in their lifetime. It never happened. So all that can be reflected in the financial reporting. So all the internal control mechanisms will result in financial reporting mechanism. Second thing is operational efficiency. Internal controls not only brings risk averseness, they also improve the operational efficiency. No two systems of internal control are identical, but many core philosophies regarding financial integrity and accounting practices has become standard management practices. While internal controls can be expensive, properly implemented, internal controls can help streamline operations and increase operational efficiency in addition of preventing frauds. So internal controls, as explained in this paragraph, why I'm repeating the sentences is people will understand what is this internal control and how they are going to help on assessing this risk and overcome the situation. So internal controls is not standard for every company. A small company will have certain controls, medium company will have certain controls, large companies will have certain controls. Again, within company, financial department will have some controls, manufacturing department will have some controls, production department will have some controls, HR will have some controls. Each one has their own system, but they are mingled each other, knowingly, unknowingly. Why internal controls? What are the internal controls we look at? Are they preventive or detective in nature? They are both preventive and detective. I hope a lot of people will agree. Internal controls are typically comprised of control activities such as authorizations, documentation, reconciliation, security, and separation of duties. This helps preventive control activities. If we are not doing this, many of the frauds or many of the laziness in the system cannot be avoided if these controls are not in place. So they are called as preventive control activities, which aim to deter errors and frauds from happening in the first place and include through documentation and authorization practices and separation of duties. So this will help no single person can do any activity on his own, which results in any deficiency in the process, any laziness in the process, any lethargy in the process, all that can be controlled if you're bringing better internal control mechanism. Other than preventive, it also gives the detective controls. Detective controls are backup procedures that are designed to catch items or even that have been missed by the first line of defense. Here, the most important activity is reconciliation, used to compare data set, and corrective action is taken upon material differences. So as I informed, internal controls are preventive and detective. And what are the disadvantages of internal control? The problem is, though you set the controls in place in many organizations, sometimes human judgment goes beyond their think process. Example, recently, how many I don't know, we observed a large private sector bank, which is prestigious in name, they have given car loans and they also given certain app to all the car loan buyers to download on their platform. Unknowingly, all these car loan buyers who has downloaded the app, they have been tracked by using GPS. It happened between 2015 to 2019. And suddenly the same got triggered and the central government and Supreme Court has put a big foothold saying that this is against entire compliance process. Even RBI was amazed why somebody is tracking somebody's movement because there can be a threat, there can be a situation. They are doing, a bank thought they are doing for the benefit of controlling their customers, controlling their money, but it has other reflections which they never seen. So now tell me, where is the process? Why they did this activity? It is because of the human judgment. That's why I highlighted in my slide how human judgment will impact internal controls, though we want it to be more preventive in nature. I'm holding it for a second just for you to observe whatever we discussed on internal control mechanism and preventive versus detective. Right. What are the control measures in risk assessment? So there are different control measures. Like you may be saying, I think people who are from colleges, people who are from corporates, large corporates, they have rules, they have procedures, they have equipment. For example, as I said, somebody is entering into a government office, they need to put their thumb impression. Somebody entering into college, they may have certain procedures where they need to do. Today, for asset tracking, we are using barcode scanners. That's where I'm saying the equipment will also play. There can be certain exclusions. Not every activity to be controlled. There are certain activities which are important, which shouldn't fall under internal control measures, which can be secrecy in nature. Generally, this happens with pharma companies where R&D is happening. For them, there are certain internal control procedures which are not exposed to the general public. There can be certain removals. For example, in the process, when you're setting up the rules and procedures, you will see certain wastage of time. You need to remove them. Training, it is very, very important. An organization to succeed and to understand its DNA. I hope a lot of people will understand DNA. Any organization which is being run, they have certain DNA on which they run their show, and the DNA need to be known to the incoming employees or existing employees. Training is important. Over and above training, supervision is important. That's why we have managers, vice presidents, directors in the company who supervise this activity. Do you feel after doing all this there are limitations? As there are limitations. In our control measure, we need to write where are our limitations. For limitations, how do you look into the prevention methods? You got it, no? For what are limitations you're doing after doing all these activities? Anything we can do for prevention and what kind of methods to be adopted and how do you arrange this process? The operational procedure is very, very important. I think I seen in many large organizations they have a process driven start. For example, if you are raising for a item to purchase a raw material, when the raw material should be purchased, at what context, what is the reorder quantity or minimum order quantity, maximum order quantity, and who will order, who has authority, all the process will be arranged in a sequential order and they present it to all the members, all the members of the organization. So it is very clear. It's a new guy or an old guy when he enters into organization and he wanted to do certain activities, he need to go through the procedure, and as the process goes about, it will go about. These are the various control measures to be taken for risk assessment. Now, I put a slide on traffic. Why I said we have identified risks in the company. To avoid risk, we came with the control mechanisms. As I said, on control mechanisms, we'll bring rules, procedures, we use various equipments and all of the things, process, and we feel things are going ahead. Why I personally look at traffic signals as one of the thing is a lot of times when I was traveling on the road, where even there is a red light and there is no traffic police on the road, a lot of people just cross the road if there is no traffic at all because they feel nobody is seeing them. Today, anyway, good or bad, the cameras just came in. Even the traffic police is not there. Even traffic is not there. Somebody is crossing the signal. It is getting recorded. They are capturing and sending the challan to us. But why we need to do this? This is where I see an internal auditor and internal audit function plays an important role. Today, our topic is internal audit, risk management, and control. So why I came with this process is we need to identify our risk. We need to know what control mechanisms we need to take. Is this risk and control mechanisms are working fine? This is where internal audit functions plays an important role. You got it, guys? That's where the function of internal audit is very, very important. I see in many organizations, internal audit, they feel it is another activity which is needed as a statutory point of view. They don't see these reports very seriously. I urge and insist, look into these reports. They give a lot of insights. Where are the lacunas in the system? Where are the leakages in the system which need to be controlled? We are preaching that to many of my clients, saying that look into internal audit report very seriously. Look into the plug holes where there are issues. Try to arrest them. Don't ignore. I see a lot of people ignore. I said, don't ignore us. Look into internal audit function, take them seriously, correct yourself. Statutory audit, a lot of people are aware about statutory audit. Generally, chartered accountants will come. They have a different responsibility because they are addressing different stakeholders in the market. For them, the stakeholders are government, investors, customers, suppliers, management, and other stakeholders. And they give reports saying that true and fair view of the financial data, what has been presented by them. Whereas internal audit function is not for various stakeholders. It is for the own good of the organization. What are the external risks that are affecting them? What are the control measures they brought in? Are they functioning properly or not? And it is for their own good. Like we go to doctor to do our preventive check. A lot of people will say, please go and do your master checkup of your health. Why they go and do it is, you need to know how is your health condition is there, whether all the body functions are doing properly or not. If you feel some issue is there, it can be prevented early. Instead of, if everything is getting damaged, situation is beyond control, then we are going to doctor. Instead of going with 10,000 rupees, it will cost you 10 lakhs. It has happened in many people's life. So we were telling our customers, clients, saying us, please see internal audit function as an important scenario. And government also said companies which have more than 25 crores of turnover, companies which have beyond threshold limit of capital in the company, they need to appoint it. It is for your own good, guys. It is for your own good. People need to understand. What is an internal audit? Internal audit evaluates a company internal controls, includes its corporate governance and accounting processes. They ensure compliance with the law and regulations and accurate and timely financial reporting, data collection, as well as helping to maintain operational efficiency by identifying problems and correcting lapses before they are discovered in an external audit. Please understand the function of internal audit got a lot of relevance because of Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002. All you know, in 2002, there are two large firms. Enron is treated as one of the fastest growing company. Lot of investors have invested funds where they failed. They failed in internal control mechanism, company need to get collapsed. And Lehman Brothers in 2008 is also a result of not looking into the external risk, finally collapsed. What really happened? The both collapses. It has shackled the corporate world. It has shackled the countries. It has shackled the business environment. And people were surprised. Are these companies are not looking into controls properly? What really went wrong? Our internal auditors are serious in looking into this role. That's where they immediately brought in Sarbanes-Oxley Act and they made a compliance in US Senate and US law and is applicable. And that's where internal audit function has become a very important function to large organizations. These reports are not shown to the external stakeholders like investors, government, as I said, customers. These are internal to the organization. If some fraud happens, they come and check. In our own India, not to quote, Satyam is one of them. Our internal audit function has not assessed the risk properly. That resulted 7,000 crores of internal issue and loss of money to many stakeholders. So please understand here, internal audit is a very, very important function. People need to see them very thoroughly from the business point of view. And one of the things I am addressing some of the students, and this definition also plays an important role. The Indian International Internal Audit function has defined internal audit as independent, objective assurance, and consultant activity designed to add value to and improve an organization operations. Don't assume internal auditor will come and only check the process. They also have a responsibility to define a process, and wherever they feel lapse, they need to recommend. That's why if you look into my third point, internal audit provides insights and recommends based on analysis and assessment of data and business processes. With commitment to integrity and accountability, internal audit provides value to governing bodies and senior management as an objective source of independent advice. I hope this is giving a right message to you guys. Why internal audit is an important function in risk assessment and controls. Today, there is a shift in the way because why I have not gone deep dive into internal audit given a macro view. I think my seniors, some of the previous speakers, last 2 or 3 days, has given good insights about internal audit function, their role in various angles. And I have another 3 more days. I heard from two. There are 2 more or 3 more speakers are going to speak a lot more things on internal audit. But I wanted to give what really happened. They will give more insights. I would like to give overview at a macro level. The key concept of internal control, risk management, and governance process have a new shift with a shift from rule-based to compliance and assurance-based to process and procedures. Previously, internal audit is a rule-based and assurance audit. What is rule-based? You have defined your control procedures. Internal audit used to come, check whether the rules are being followed or rules are in good shape. That's why they are called from rule-based to assurance-based. Now it is more defined to compliance, process, and procedures. There is a shift in internal audit function over a period of last few decades. Now currently the focus is on compliance, process, and procedures. I'm repeating for your own good. Another biggest advantage of internal audit function is top management makes day-to-day decisions to run business. Based on information available within the entity, stakeholders are demanding progressive value addition. ERM, enterprise risk management, emerged as the key corporate governance practice today. I've given some examples at the end, what really happening on the ERM space, but there is a shift, and I think our customers, businesses are forcing internal auditors to relook into this exercise very seriously. What are they connected? So now today what happened is internal audit is speaking about risk-based internal auditing as a methodology that links internal auditing to an organization overall risk management framework Risk-based RBIA allows internal audit to provide assurance to the board that risk management processes are managing risk effectively in relation to the risk appetite. I think if you see last decade, 2 decades, there were enormous discussion in the public domain, both by listed entities, non-listed entities, on corporate governance. So corporate governance has become a key important point, and Government of India, when they amended Companies Act 2013, corporate governance has become one of the chapter and key important ingredient for many companies. The thrust on that has become very, very much needed. Why they need to do that? If they don't do that, the external factors like the foreign countries, people in other countries, people within own countries, they will not believe what really happening in the corporate world. How do they bring trust? If they have strong risk-based internal auditing, which is overruled by corporate governance at the end of the day. So advantages of internal audit is understanding and assessing, identifying, ensuring, safeguarding, review and ensuring, and again ensuring. You see the word understanding, assessing, identifying, ensuring, safeguarding, review and ensuring, again ensuring. So they are saying understand, assess the risk, evaluate the adequacies of the preventive interim controls, identifying areas for systems improvement and strengthening controls, ensure optimum utilization of resources of the entity. For example, the productivity of the employees in an organization is very, very important. Today, there are two metrics most of the IT industries are providing. One is what is per resource revenue they are generating. I don't know how many people are observing. Please observe the notes given by TCS, Infosys, HCL, Mindtree. They mention in their quarterly financials and yearly financials what is revenue per employee. This has become an important ingredient where the optimum utilization of resources are coming in. The second thing, for the large organizations, they are also looking into median salary of the management with the median salary of the employees. This gives what is the management bandwidth they are able to cover. So this is how the utilization of resources has been looked at. Ensure proper and timely identification of liabilities, including contingent liabilities of the entity. Safeguarding the assets of the entity, reviewing and ensuring adequacy of information systems, security and control, reviewing and ensuring adequacy, relevance, reliability, and timelines of management information system. One of the things I would like to trust and stop here is MIS. MIS has become a key ingredient. And when we are investing into a startup or when we are looking into an organization which is running a medium-sized SME, one of the key things we are asking, what are the key performance indicators they are watching? For example, for retail, they look at store-wide sales. But if you look into DMart, if you look into Shopstock, if you look into Big Bazaar financials, they mention per square feet what is the sales they are doing, or is per square feet sales are increasing or not. That's where their margin will play a role. If you look into companies like HUL, ITC, which are in essential goods services, they look into the growth of the each of the segment, personal care, uh, they are dental care, they use lot of care. They look into their KPIs, how they are performing. If you look into mobile phones or companies like Airtel or Jio, they see ARPU, average revenue per user. So these are becoming very, very important. From where this information will come is your internal MIS system. And any mistake in MIS system will give a wrong information, gives a wrong signal. Correcting it later becomes very, very difficult. That's where, as an internal auditor, today, even checking MIS data has become very, very important for us. Why I'm stressing is people need to understand how important even an MIS for an organization, the data which is building on the MIS is also important, and where internal audit comes in play. Finally, ensuring compliance with internal and external guidelines and policies of the entities, as well as applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. I say most of our auditors, including myself, I'm not criticizing, but a mid-size CA firms or a general CA firms, their internal audit function is more looking into applicability of statutory and regulatory compliance. We are insisting our co-members and also our other institute members, when you're heading a CFO function, when you're taking an internal audit function, go beyond statutory and regulatory compliances. There are a lot more things which we need to do using internal audit function, control and risk assessment as a base. So I feel this is where the importance of auditors will come into. The auditor opinion that accomplished financial statement is based on an audit of procedure and records used to produce to them. As of an audit, external auditors will test the company accounting processes and internal controls and provide an opinion as to their effectiveness. I think recently, even the Chartered Accountant Regulation, Companies Act regulation has insisted even statutory auditors to assess internal control procedure and give their opinion. I don't know how many people are observing that it has become mandatory for almost T to be by the external auditors other than internal auditors. So what are the key takeaways when we have gone through? Internal controls are mechanisms, rules and procedures implemented by a company to ensure the integrity of financial and accounting information, promote accountability and prevent frauds. Besides complying with the law and regulations and preventing employees from stealing assets or committing fraud, internal controls can help improve operational efficiency by improving the accuracy and timeliness of the financial reporting. And I said internal auditors started playing a key role in corporate governance with new software coming in place. Most of the Indian entities which got listed outside India are complying this and their sustainability. One of the key things which I want to bring is companies which are assessing their risk, assessing their controls, using internal audit function effectively are becoming more sustainable and less vulnerable for the external attacks. Finally, what are these three things are doing? It is a risk management. Guys, this is the risk management. Risk, control, and audit is doing the risk management for the organization. I hope you all agree that. What is risk management? The identification, analysis, assessment, control, and avoidance. Minimization or elimination of unacceptable risk is what risk management is. Risk management is a continuous process to identify, analyze, evaluate, and treat loss exposures and monitor risk control and financial resources to mitigate the adverse effect of loss. So risk management is a constant management. Every quarter there is you all know there is different boards will be there in the companies. Internal audit committee board is also there, which is a critical function. And if there are any financial issues, performance of the company is going wrong, they are held keenly responsible compared to the CEO and managing director. Audit committee plays a very, very important role, and they have a responsibility to look beyond company for risk profile. Risk management is very, very important. So one of the key roles of internal audit is to provide assurance that those risks have been properly managed. I'm holding it for 1 minute so that you people will observe what I discussed for last 15 minutes. So there are rule-based versus compliance-based internal controls. There were a lot of discussions here. What is rule, whether we need to go for compliance. As I said, we moved from rule-based to compliance-based. We moved from assurance to process. So this has become a key important thing. Similar terminology may be available and used in IT field. The top management makes day-to-day decisions to run business based on information available within the entity. With the development of accounting standards, internal control over financial reporting, the availability of robust financial information, which is taken from a clean data, is fully assured. Today, I think ERPs are helping us a lot in taking care of this entire internal control procedures, internal audit mechanism procedures. What are the key current risks that need to be addressed by internal audit department? One is business continuity plan. I think most of the people are aware. Today, what happened because of pandemic? Most of the transactions are on hold, and most of them are struggling on business continuity. Thanks to technology, I think people are using work from home. People are using webinar to get connected and discuss so that the activities are not going ahead. So business continuity plan is effective because of the technology, which has become very, very important. Even people who are dependent heavily on the systems, they're also building a BCP test. I think Amazon, which has service in US, they have a backend service in India. Even Google also have backend service somewhere in Europe. A lot of people don't know exactly where this backend service are sitting, but there is a back-to-back happens because of the business continuity and disaster recovery plan. So now, as Nandan Nilekeri has said sometime around 2000, the world is flat because of the internet. I think the risk levels have grown really, really. Something happening in China affecting India, something happening in US affecting India, something happening in Europe, like Brexit, it is also affecting in India. Not only affecting large corporations, the companies which are dependent on them also getting affected. All you guys will agree. So this risk need to be assessed properly and internal audit function need to review and come back. So with the rapidly evolving business environment, the nature of crisis traditionally planned for is changing. Physical crisis, including natural disaster, disease outbreaks, workplace violence, particularly with respect to multinationals operating in global market, financial crisis due to increased volatility and interdependency of the global economy. This is where internal audit function is becoming very, very important. Another key area in the current risk assessment is working capital management. We have seen a lot of companies are doing well, but they're struggling on cash. Example today, most of the life sciences companies, which are either bringing a vaccine for COVID, which are either creating enzymes to test COVID test, they are called RT-PCR test. They are saying rapid test. For that, there is some requirement is there. They are supplying to the government organizations instead of private organizations. Governments are not paying cash on time. It is affecting their working capital a lot. This is where we need to give right advice from the internal point of view, how to manage this given scenario and what are the available resources to manage this situation. There also there is a role. I think after covering what is the function of risk control and internal audit, I want to give a high level view before I am closing my remarks on internal audit risk management and control. What is enterprise risk management? This is where most of the functions what I discussed largely get affected. There is a team which sits and derives and looks into various angles and they come back, assess, and they give reports. I request most of the students and professors who are part of this event, please go and download Infosys report. Please go and download Reliance. Please go and download Dr. Reddy's, TCS. In annual report, there is one page allocated for risk management. What is that guys are doing for managing the risk? Even in their websites, they have written about risk management policies, who is setting what, and how they are controlling this risk management area. It gives very good insights to a lot of you. I urge and request you to look at. And because of these mechanisms, they are able to grow year on year. They're able to manage huge volume set of data. They're able to manage their companies across the world, and they become the brand unanimous. Today, you see Apple, you see McDonald's, you see Reliance. These companies are saying decades and decades. McDonald's, I think, has stayed for more than 7 decades. Walmart is almost 9 decades. Amazon and Google for 2.5 decades. Businesses are striving and growing decades and decades because their risk management policies are playing very, very important. And I will tell you, Warren Buffett never believed IT companies can assess this risk effectively. And after looking into IBM, I'll just show you before I go. After looking, I just put the slide IBM Risk Management Framework. He looked into this framework and he has invested in this company. It is the first company he's invested. After this, he went and invested in Apple. See, they have written how they are managing the smarter risk in taking care of the competitive advantage. Culture, they said risk is defined by the culture. Culture is having report, communication, implementation, and monitor using leadership, program and practice, enablement, and effectiveness. And they define this management, risk management framework more elaborate in their report during 2013-14. Please go and see whenever you're observing. Same thing, I am presenting one more case which Infosys in their risk management profile has given how they are managing. See, on external outer layer, there is a government regulatory bodies, communities there, suppliers and allied partners, employees, investor, and clients. In that layer, he has strategic goals, culture and value, vision and mission statement. And other side, they have governance practices, board of directors, risk strategy committee, internal board of directors, risk council, office of risk management, sub risk council, unit risk council, project and account risk framework. And this is controlling the internal framework, which is completely the strategy and risk, performance assessment, and how they are controlling each of the risk areas. Legal compliance, operational, strategy and strategy execution, risk identification, risk statement. I think they're given a elaborate report. They're given a very elaborate report how they're managing within the given framework. I insist and urge because I have very limited time where I can speak more about this particular topic, but I wanted to throw a high level 40,000 feet view to you guys to look into that. It's a very interesting thing. And I personally believe who are early adopters of this risk management profiles are more successful in their life and they become more sustainable. They are not vulnerable to the current situation. Today, for me, because of pandemic, somebody is not able to survive in the current period. Like we see a auto wala is not able to make money, a rickshaw puller not able to make money, another seller they are not able to. These are not a sustainable businesses. We are not looked into the risk profile, and they are not expected to do it. But I am giving you an example. A person who has become large today, for example, somebody has real estate. I know in Hyderabad, most of them located commercial real estate premises. Their incomes has gone for a toss, and psychology of people also got changed. So when they have did their asset framework, why they invested 90% of their assets on the commercial real estate? That's why they say assess your risk profile, manage your portfolio management very well. It is applicable even for individuals. It is applicable even for the company. It is very, very important function, guys, risk management. And we need to do ourselves an audit called internal audit, not only for the external guys. Just to give, there are certain things from enterprise-wide risk management policies. The green are the things which we need to evaluate. Yellow are the things which we need to look in and observe. And which are in violet color, they are the things which are needed, but you can ignore. I think you guys, I requested the people who are organizing it to share the PPT with all the people who have come to this call so that they can go through. Any doubts are there, they can reach out to me. To sum up, risk and risk management, control mechanism, internal audit, forethought, and running at the speed of technology. Today, all these functions can be done using technology. It can be an ERP, it can be some other mode of technology which will help to expand faster, which will help to control better, where human judgment will be very much limited. I think most of the people are saying it is the technology which is driving this. Today, I see government of India has done far more better things. GST is online, income tax is online, any other portal is online. People need to apply. Things will happen automatically to come. The dependency of people have came down. The dependency of human judgment has came down. indirectly they are controlling a lot of other impacts which people have seen in the past is getting knocked off. And there are clear SLAs, clear timelines. I think this is helping even government in its risk management, bringing better controls, and still they are appointing internal auditors to look into this angle. Is the functions are going right? Even some tweaking is happening. So technology is playing a very, very important role. So thanks, guys. I'm open to any question and answers. I'm sorry if I've gone a little bit speed, but any questions are there, please ask me without hesitance. Second thing, anything which I am not able to address or anybody has missed asking questions, you can reach out to the host and he will share the mail to me. I'll respond it back.
Questions.
Thank you, guys. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. We have got some questions. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we are having a question from one of our members. Audit is not designed to detect frauds, but it is designed to assess the financial position. How far this statement is valid from internal audit perspective?
See, what happening, sir, is most of the companies are defining internal audit function. They want what area we need to see, and they are not giving they are not opening up the entire lot. They are saying, "Sir, look into compliance area. This is your internal audit function." Or you look into HR functions. You look into this function. The management perception about internal auditors have not changed a lot. And for me, I am also doing a lot of education. We are entering into different areas, requesting them, we wanted to check this area, take this area, take this area, and come back with right framework for them. I think we have certain, I'm not saying we are 100% foolproof, but our exposure is far better than an entrepreneur who is running the show where we can guide them. That's what I always say. But what's our statement to a leaving the big four or a top 10 chartered accounting firms in India, 10 or 20, the top tier chartered accountants? Most of the chartered accountants are seen only for the financial reporting. They're not seeing us as their business partner when internal audit function is coming in. As an external auditor, we cannot look into these financial aspects, risk aspects. Our role is completely different. I hope sir will agree on it.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question.
Right.
In certain companies like Tata, there is a whistleblower policy of advanced signaling of any fraud.
Right.
How far this will help the internal auditor?
It will give a great insight, sir. I think again, internal audit function today, because of technology, we were able to cover a lot of things and it is able to control. Humanly, a company like Tata Group managing becomes very, very difficult. We can't see 100% what really happening on the ground thanks to technology which is helping us. In spite of that, there can be some spillovers which we can't detect, and whistleblower policy will really, really help us.
Yeah, thank you, sir. There is a question from the academic community. They are asking us whether can auditing be taken as a new specialization for the BCom course. Now we have got BCom General, BCom Finance and Taxation, BCom Accounting and Finance. Similarly, will it be suitable for students to have BCom Accounting and Assurance, Auditing and Assurance, and so on? What would be the scope for introducing a new course with auditing specialization?
No, this will be very futuristic step. I think we need to do that. I think as today the technology is driving many businesses, whether it is small or big. And today from transaction, sir, I will tell you, we are most of the BCom people or chartered accountant people, we are helping them in their day-to-day transaction. Now the transaction is taken over by computer. If you look into this decade, either a GST filing or income tax filing, everything, system itself is drawing the data. Once you pull in the data, it is drawing the data and giving the information. So it has become a transaction. Transaction is being taken over by the computer today, according to me. And 2020-30 decade, it is going to be a lot more. Artificial intelligence came in and it is going to play a bigger role. Where we play a very, very important role as an auditors or as a become students, knowing risk assessment and looking into these audit procedures and somebody having this kind of exposure on the back end, I feel they bring a lot of value add. I think it can be a need of the officer who can bring that expertise at early level and make them grow. I feel it is needed.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. All the questions are complete. Over to Dr. B.
Oh, sure.
Revati ma'am for proposing vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your informative and elaborate address. Your delivery was really innovative and excellent. Thank you, sir, so much for having accepted our invitation and has materialized today's section. Thank you, Mr. Rakesh, for your kind cooperation. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Gomati.
Revati.
I extend my sincere
Uh,
thanks to each and every participant for their support. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I am within time, and thank you for all,
Thank
actually.
you, sir. Thank you so much, the
Thank
resource
you so
person.
much.
Right.